Welcome back once more, ladies and gentlemen. We've got our second best of three of the evening coming at you. The second set of semifinals. The winner of this BO3 will be facing off against Team Titan in the grand finals of this qualifier coming up tomorrow. Here we've got MVP.Phoenix versus Johnny's Revenge. JR, of course, Winter, Chibi-X, Paulison, Sharky, and Johnny, the new stack here in SEA. I'm Zayori, joined remotely once again by Blaze. What's the good word here? Coming into this series, Blaze.
Man, I am pumped about it. These two teams are really interesting to watch. Their own personal play styles and the meshing of these different the players, the synergy there with Johnny's Revenge. They have a lot of new kind of all-star players from multiple teams, and they're trying to find the swing of things as far as coordination. MVP.Phoenix has run with this roster for a really long time, and mostly the most interesting part about them is their unique strategies. Winter knows one of them. He's banning out the Warlock in Phase 1, and I think he's going to do it throughout this entire match because they do not want to face the core Warlock that we saw against First Departure yesterday.
Yes, certainly not. And I actually did not get to see the series yesterday of MVP.Phoenix versus First Departure. Did you watch the whole thing?
I got bits and pieces of it, and what I saw did not look good when it came down to the way that Warlock was just absolutely dominating. The ultimate usage, the Fatal Bonds, they put such priority in getting him to a point where that critical mass almost seems unstoppable. Like, it's amazing that only one team uses it to the point that we consider it a pocket strat, but for them, it's tried and true.
All right, well, Johnny's Revenge will open with the first pick Razor. No big surprise about that. We've certainly seen a pretty good amount of Razor throughout this tournament and just in general right now. Shadow Shaman, Faceless Void. The Shadow Shaman has been all the rage in the SEA scene. There are a lot of supports out there, but he seems to be the tried and true favorite for most of these teams.
10 seconds.
Radiant or Dire, most teams will take him regardless, but as always, packs that punch on the Dire side with a little bit of extra Roshan control. And the Faceless Void, good start for MVP.Phoenix with plenty of different avenues they can take with this draft. They could migrate into more of a pushing type strategy or just move into more of a mid-game team fighting around that Faceless Void. Options, somewhat limitless.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very all-around type build-up here. I'd expect Rubik to be a pretty high priority if it wasn't banned out, but Johnny's Revenge doesn't even want to have to worry about it here. So they're going to go ahead, take it off the board because they know that MVP.Phoenix gets first pick in Phase 2, and they're going to couple that with the Ancient Apparition, which is just a good hero to synergize with the Void ulti. You get the setup. Not only do you guarantee Cold Feet with Shackles, but you pretty much guarantee an Ice Blast on whoever is stuck in that Chronosphere.
Yep, and Shadow Shaman and Ancient Apparition are a pretty solid support duo, regardless of who they have around a tri-lane. Like you mentioned, Cold Feet procs make for pretty easy kills early on, especially with the Chilling Touch added into the mix. MVP.Phoenix, they'll think about this fourth ban a little bit here. They take out the Wraith King with their third ban and opt to settle on the Skywrath. And whoa, right away, they grab the Ember Spirit. Without a moment's hesitation, they know what they want and they'll grab it.
Absolutely. They have multiple players. Actually, all three of their core players are willing to take up the Ember Spirit at different points in time, and they're just so confident with and familiar with that hero. I don't really feel, as far as like this pick versus the composition we see, the hard disable from the Tide Hunter, and the fact that they have 3 picks to continuously counter it, I don't feel that that's the strongest, but all the same, they're so confident with it, they're so familiar with it that they could pick it up at any phase in the draft and still do some work. A nice synergy, as well as Ember Spirit is like the only melee hero that can absolutely destroy during Void's Chrono. Like, you think melee hero, he's stuck outside the bubble, can't do anything. No, Ember Spirit gets 1 and moving towards 2 Sleight of Fist on everybody involved, and that certainly adds to the pain that the Faceless Void himself brings.
Yeah, definitely. And if Void can catch a Chrono when heroes are stacked on top of each other after Ember Spirit gets that Battle Fury, or even in the late game with that second Battle Fury, things can get pretty rough pretty quick in terms of the ridiculousness of that damage output. Johnny's Revenge, they will grab a Treant Protector. Interesting. Ember Spirit considered at least a slight counter to Treant Protector in terms of living armor on heroes. The damage over time from the Flame Guard will cut right through the living armor, but will help them in terms of keeping their towers somewhat safe from the pushing power of MVP.Phoenix, who settle for a 4th pick Wisp, the first time we're seeing Wisp in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm actually not so certain about the Treant Protector here. I mean, luckily they don't have to face against the Jakiro, so the living armor will still be pretty good defending towers and keeping them alive in general. But I'm not seeing the full synergy here other than just locking opponents in place with the overgrowth can limit what Void can do and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. It's pretty interesting because Sharky and Johnny haven't like played that hero extensively either. We've seen it picked up as a fringe pick for Johnny, but it's not the most common hero for them to select, and I'm not fully seeing the benefit other than setting up the Razor for a long duration static link.
Yeah,
So
I
we'll
mean,
see how it plays out.
they
Okay.
could be angling for a Witch Doctor pick here. There's some synergy with the two ultimates, the Overgrowth and the Death Ward, but yeah, I kind of agree. I'm not sure exactly what their angle is here. MVP.Phoenix, depending on what they want to do with this Faceless Void, if they want to build a tri-lane around him in the 1, they could consider a Darkseer in the off lane, and another hero that works well to deal with the Living Armor, and we've seen the Lawnmower, as it's been coined, Darkseer plus Ember Spirit, can be pretty dirty in that mid game with Ion Shell on top of the Flame Guard. But Johnny's Revenge will think about it quite a bit. Perhaps have kind of boxed themselves into a corner here, trying to decide what to do with this 4th pick, and it's a Shadow Demon for their 2nd support.
It's really interesting. Essentially, what this is a purely defensive draft trying to enable the Razor to survive for a very long time. You can static link an opponent and then give him the Disruption, give him the Leech Seed or the Overgrowth, all of these to try to give him more time to just leech away. And if you can accomplish that against Ember or Void for an extended period of time, then that means that you will be able to not only take away their damage, but also dish out a lot yourself. But it's kind of reliant on that strategy. If Razor gets bursted down too quickly, if the mech's a little slow, if the living armor gets chewed through by that Ember Spirit's shield, as you mentioned, the Flame Guard, it's just it's kind of disconcerting that they're putting so much into that, and the supports themselves don't have that hard disable that you usually want against Ember. Like right now, as far as stopping a Fire Remnant escape, they literally have Ravage, and that's it.
Yeah. Not a huge amount of control and not a huge amount of damage output either. Treant and Shadow Demon, very utility-based supports, but not a huge amount of burst damage that they put out. MVP.Phoenix will 5th ban the Silencer. I like that choice here. A hero that kind of counters the Void and just good in general. And Puck is what Johnny's Revenge will settle on for their final ban. A good mid-lane tempo controller. I guess they're assuming it'll be the off-lane Void, Ember Spirit in the 1, and MVP.Phoenix are still angling for that mid-hero. And I suppose time will tell as MVP.Phoenix have the 1st final pick.
10 seconds remaining.
Shadow Demon has a lot of potential to screw up Void's ultimates, where he goes in, he tries to single out a person, you can defensively disrupt him if the Eridar is outside. But there's just so many threats they don't have a way to deal with here. They don't have any great disables to prevent Tinker from rearming for a BOT away. They don't have anything to stop a Time Walk escape. It really is going to be them having to gain some early momentum, and to the point that I think they might not even pick up another core hero. Like, they'll obviously not support, but somebody that isn't so reliant on farm. They'll pick up somebody that can get something from the solo mid or the safe lane role set, but who isn't going to be worried about coming online after like the 25-minute mark. They want to push early, they want to put pressure out early, and that's where the Tinker pick shines. Surviving, thriving, and keeping their team in the game.
Yeah. Well, it will be an Invoker last pick for Johnny's Revenge, so synergy there with the Shadow Demon if he opts for the Exort build. Of course, you can land pretty easy Sunstrikes following disruptions. But this Johnny's draft just seems kind of all over the place. They have a little bit of pushing power with Forged Spirits. They have sort of... the Treant Protector isn't even really anti-push. He can sort of slow down the tower sieges, but they don't have great creep clearing. I worry about this. I think this MVP.Phoenix draft is just a bit scarier across the board.
Yeah, I think 4 out of 5 isn't bad. Johnny's Revenge, like getting Pulse on Invoker, getting Shadow Demon Razor alongside him, like you mentioned with this the synergy there. And then Tidehunter is a great hero in the offlane sense. The thing that sticks out really is this Treant Protector. So we'll see how Johnny uses it. It obviously seems to be something he's confident with, but unless we're seeing like a WEC Invoker that will pick up an Orchid early, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Now, is Johnny on Treant one of these? He does it occasionally, and it's just not something you see too often, or is this kind of like how we saw the other day with that Timbersaw DDZ and totally out of the blue?
Like, it's not out of the blue. It's probably like his 4th or 5th pick most hero, but it's still like he favors like the top 2, like the Chen Enchantress type stuff, so much more frequently that it's not as common to see.
A little indecisive with his first items. He bought tangos, then sold them, bought a smoke, then sold it, and decided to go back to the tangos where he started. So, trying to figure out what he wants to do, but Johnny will go boots first on this tree. probably looking for a first point in Leech Seed to do some early damage. But we'll introduce some rosters here as MVP.Phoenix, 5-man invade into the Radiant jungle. They may bump into Winter, who is, of course, on the Tidehunter here, slated for the solo safe lane. It will be Paulison in the solo mid invoker role.
30 seconds
and we'll keep an eye on MVP here as their jungle invade does yield an observer ward, blocks the pole camp, and gives some nice vision into the jungle. And they'll put their other observer here on the high ground as they exit the jungle.
Yeah, but in this position is not going to be too impactful because the Tide is going to be safe lane solo here. Essentially what they're trying to go for is just to suppress whoever is on the safe lane, whoever they're trying to prioritize farm for.
That's Tide's ward right there. I'm sorry, I'm colorblind as hell. That's the Radiant ward right there, and the Dire ward down here. Sorry about that. I confused myself.
He picks up a nice rune, though. Invis for a Shadow Shaman has a lot of kill potential. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to kind of camp around bottom lane, and he doesn't really have that much against Winter's Tide. But if he does happen to make his way towards the mid lane and find out Invoker's there, then that might be a nice opportunity to at least get a lot of damage on him to start things off.
Now already, Johnny and Sharky are smoked up. Level 1 disruption still hasn't put a point in the Leech Seed, but they are hungry for blood out of the gate. Will be Johnny on the Trin, as we mentioned, Sharky on the Shadow Demon, and that does leave us with Chibi X on the Razor here, slated for the off lane, at least for now. Where are these smoked up supports headed? Down towards the bottom lane, where there is an aggro try from MVP.Phoenix. March is on the Wisp, and we've got Heen on the Shadow Shaman. His invisibility rune will expire, and March will get sandwiched here. There's the Leech Seed coming out from Johnny. He tethers across over to QO, who of course is on the Ember Spirit. Flame Guard level 1. There's your disruption coming out. March still in trouble. He will fall. It's Tidehunter that grabs the bonus gold, and Winter will be very happy with his spoils as he gets 400 to start things off in the lane.
Yeah, if you look at the HP bars on the side of the Radiant, it's the big beefy guys that were taking the damage. The guys with 600 base HP. They're able to just kind of stay on the front there, and the Shadow Demon can kind of just be the last one to come in. So the damage focus, it's not really there, and all MVP.Phoenix can do is really retreat. And that's a difficult thing to do, even for a Boots first Shadow Shaman. So he started off with Ether Shock. That was kind of an unfortunate pickup as well, but the bottom line here is that they know that they wanted the try versus try. They know that Wisp is a very non-contributional support towards the first 3 to 4 levels, and they're trying to exploit that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it pays dividends.
Top lane.
Sorry?
Top lane, Chibi's going to be able to soak up tons of damage, gets one good hit onto the Tinker. Most importantly, for like 13 seconds straight, he just gets a full free wave of CS. All the last hits, all the denies, and in fact, 2 hits on Raisin here.
Actually,
is he going to get him?
Almost be a kill. He has the movement speed edge here. Oh, no, he doesn't. Tinker does, but Ryzen turns. There's the blind. Can Chibi do it? And still 5 seconds on the plasma field. Ryzen doesn't have a salve here, but has plenty of tangos, and he'll survive. But a close call as Chibi dives the tower.
Yeah, it's the fact that Tinker got boots at all that he's living to this moment, and that he knew that he didn't have the movement speed advantage. So it was a good turnaround with the laser and just barely getting the turn rate animation right before the last hit came through. So would have been a disaster if they had given that solo kill to the Razor. Like at that point, the Tinker could hardly lane against him at all. But at this point, it's just going to be a minor disadvantage as he has to tango back up and essentially exhaust all of his restoratives.
Yeah, Ryzen is struggling quite a bit, though. He has 0 last hits, 0 and 0, not even a single deny under his belt. Meanwhile, Razor is 10 and 6 as the creeps shove into his tower, and Tinker gets zoned out even further. So even though Razor doesn't get the kill, Tinker struggling quite a bit in the early phase. Down bottom, it is a try-on-try, and it's a farming Tidehunter for Johnny's Revenge. Kind of an awkward tri-lane here with double melee, but it's working for him. Like you mentioned, they are pretty tanky, so not too susceptible to kills or conceding deaths early on. QO is 11 and 5 and finding much better farm than Winter, and now they'll step up the aggression a little bit, harassing Winter. He'll take a living armor, and now Gush out onto Heen. Sharky coming around the side. That's a disruption. And Sunstrike will fly through it. Will connect onto Heen. He's in trouble, and he falls. So 1-0, but Winter taking heavy damage. Maybe they can turn it around the other way. March gets clicked down as he commits for the kill, and it's a 2-0. Johnny's Revenge grabbing early 3 kills in this try-on-try.
Well, it seems that Winter has really done his homework as far as what MVP like to go for here, because the big weakness of this lineup is if it tries to take fights. Up against the non-durable heroes, Sharky should be picked off here, even with the disruption. There's a lot of damage coming in from these spirits. But the living armor will keep him up. QO has to dive deep for this one, but it looks like it's going to be enough.
He will get it, taking a lot of tower shots, and it's a close call. Oh, it's more than a close call. The Shadow Demon secures the kill, and it's a 1-for-1. MVP, well, he gets the experience for it, but oh, you don't want your Ember Spirit in the grave this early on any more than he has to be.
Yeah, that's brutal, but it's just these fights that they keep on trying to take against heroes that are just too tanky. Sharky's not one of them. Like, that was actually a solid movement until they started having to dive too deep. But like the fact that they're trying to trade hits with Tidehunter, with this Anchor Smash, the fact that they're going up against this Dream Protector, it shows that Winter knows how aggressive the Koreans like to be and is trying to respond to that with heroes that give you this false sense of security that you can take the kill. Like with the Living Armor with the Leech Seed heals, it's all very subtle, but that's a lot of potential durability and effective HP that they're not taking account.
Yeah, and to complement the point you're making here, Winter doing a different build, now hitting level 4 and grabs that first point in Kraken Shell. We've seen a lot of Tidehunter over the past few days, and seems like almost everyone has started with a point in Kraken Shell, either level 1 or level 2, but instead opting to be aggressive against this tri-lane here. Up top, the two supports of JR did smoke up. They find Ryzen in the trees, and they'll try and secure a kill here. 2 points of the Shadows Poison stacked up, make it 3. As March Machine flies through, they're happy to dive this, and that'll be a dead Tinker as JR make it 5-1. Disruption comes out, Wisp will get picked off, and Chibi even joining the party up here as well. As he now, taking Eye of the Storm shots. There's your Plasma Field. That'll be a dead Shadow Shaman. Void joining the party. A few creep kills away from level 6. No Chronosphere. Sharky will take a few tower shots, but okay for now. Johnny has a Living Armor in about 5 seconds. Threv needs to be careful here. Maybe overcommitting. Time Walk up in 2. Takes quite a few shots from the Razor, but will be okay. 7-1 as our Radiant side pull further in the lead. Already 3,000 golden experience up against the Korean MVP.Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, we knew from the draft that Johnny's Revenge would have the advantage in the laning phase, that there's just too much greed from the Tinker, the Ember, and the Void, that all they can do is just try to survive, try to keep their towers alive. But in this position, not only are they taking into consideration the errors of MVP when they go unfortunately aggressive, but along with that, they're making things happen across the map with this smoke movement, which is very active. They buy up another smoke. We're going to see more of the same very soon, and it's going to be on maybe Forev to make use of the Chronosphere and try to get some real points on the board for MVP.
Yeah, and speak of the devil, he is now level 6, so that is a possibility. Shadow Shaman halfway through level 3, still pretty far off the wards, and even Ember Spirit, not so close to level 6 either, just now hitting level 5. No points in Sleight of Fist, going for the 2-0-3 build, maxing the Flame Guard, but goes for that value point in the Searing Chains over the first in Sleight of Fist in the early levels. Winter, very close to level 6 here, and Ravage will be online, of course, which makes things quite scary. Another smoke rotation towards the top lane. They've already been picking on Ryzen quite a bit, and they want to do it once more. He is really far behind already. He didn't have much farm in the lane, 15 CS in 7 minutes, and he's already been picked off once. This will be a very slow set of boots of travel. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Winter gets dove upon. March gets finished off by a Sunstrike from the Invoker, and Paulison will add another one to the scoreboard. That'll make it 8-1.
Yeah. It's not often that you get to talk about Tether as like using it offensively and defensively. Usually you think like Illusory Orb for Puck is a good example, where if he uses it to farm creeps, then that's suddenly the opportunity to go in. But honestly, if Wisp is using his Tether to boost Ember Spirit's movement speed and to try to net a kill, that's the perfect opportunity to go on him because he can't jump away. Now we do see Sharky in some trouble here. He's going to go for the defensive disruption, and with the Living Armor, he will tank up for a bit. Actually, offensive disruption onto QO, who cannot tank any more tower shots, as we've seen.
Yeah, that's it. Sleight of Fist there. Might have been able to secure the kill. And that first level doesn't do a hell of a lot of damage, but Living Armor just enough, even with the Flame Guard, which chewed through it quickly, bought him enough time to survive through the disruption. So, like you were mentioning before, the aggression from MVP just being shut down at every turn, it seems. We haven't talked too much about this mid lane, but Paulison has been farming up a storm. He's the last hit leader right now, has the Hand of Midas recipe already, and #1 on net worth, 3,300 on him. Next highest is the Void at only 2,300. We'll see an aggressive hop forward right onto Paulison. He gets off the Sunstrike before he goes down, but a 3-on-1, more than he can handle, and a much-needed gank on that Invoker who was starting to farm out of control. We'll turn our sides towards the top lane as Winter's making a rotation. Ravage and Gush available. Ravage over the tree line. Well played by Winter, knowing he wouldn't catch up, just barely in range, but Chibi secures the kill after a long static link.
Yeah, so, I mean, they commit a big kill there, but, I mean, they want to keep this momentum rolling, and they can't afford to lose any opportunities. Now, Sharky on the bottom lane is going to get hit by the tether, so he's going to take quite a few hits here, but gets a few moments of living armor before turning it around. His ultimate onto March. The Sun Strike's there, and that's a nice kill.
Oh, no. Now QL will have to commit deep if he wants this kill on Sharky. Will eat some wand charges, has a regen in the bottle, but will it be enough? He gets stunned up, and he will fall. One last tower shot to bring him down. Invoker gets credit for that kill, and it's a double for Paulison. 11-2 before the 10-minute mark. Johnny's Revenge. 4,000 golden experience in the lead already.
Yeah, Sharky just played him like a fiddle there. That was a very nice movement from him, baiting them into a 2 for 0 in that situation, and they just have full control of the map right now. There was the fortunate death of Invoker earlier, and he did, in fact, lose out on what would have been his Gloves of Haste to build up that Midas, but a couple of extra assists, and he's right back up to it. So well-timed Midas for him. Going for this Exort build-up, and again, really the only thing that they're lacking is hard lockdown against the escapes of like the blinks. Essentially the Fire Remnants, the Time Walk. If they can find ways to lock their opponents down in that regard, then there's no way that MVP can hold this position.
Yeah, absolutely. I also just want to point out, while we have a lull in the action here, the current bets on Dota 2 Lounge are 18-82 in favor of MVP.Phoenix. So some rares could be lost here if JR keep this up throughout the series. A pretty dominant performance thus far. But down bottom, we'll hold that thought as QO almost gets initiated on, but they can't find the opening. And he'll be okay for now. JR grouping up about the bottom lane, though. It's a 4-hero rotation. The only one not with him is the Tidehunter, who's farming away in the mid lane. They'll move in towards the tower, but yep, invisible forever on the backside. Chronosphere at the ready. If they overcommit here, he could punish this. And he hops forward. QO taking a lot of damage. Will Fire Remnant back. It's a 4-hero Chronosphere. But he clips the tower, not doing any damage. Sharky taking pretty heavy right clicks, but out comes the Overgrowth. Sharky's still alive. Not for long. QO has to commit deep for it. It'll cost him everything. Wisp falls as well. It's a 1 for 2. And now Johnny's Revenge will be rewarded with a tower kill. And even if they want to continue fighting here, Ravage up in a few seconds, I think they could do it.
Yeah, without rotating the Shadow Shaman to that fight, there was no way they were going to get any more than one kill, and it just becomes unfortunate because that was with Chrono, without Ravage, and this Tier 2 is going to fall just as readily because of the fact that now they've exhausted the cooldowns, and JR have what they need. I'm curious actually when they're going to look to breach high ground, if they're going to wait for Roche on that, are they just going to keep controlling the lanes? They have lots of different options of where to go from here, but right now it looks like on the Wisp, unfortunately the Sunstrike will be out the mark, but QO jumps in.
And now he's in trouble. Wisp is here to try and help him out. He'll tether to the creep. A small misclick. Doesn't matter. They don't have the damage to bring down QO quite yet. This tower very close to deny range. I think JR will commit to it, but it could cost him. Wraparound is inbound. Invoker gets credit for the tower kill as he secures the last hit. Dire Courier flies overhead as it delivers the Soul Ring to Ryzen, or maybe it was just his bottle on the way back. Either way, he gets hit by the Gush. No BOTs up on him. He's headed for the hills, gets off. One last march of machines before taking a tumble. Now the rest of MVP coming forward. They want some vengeance here. Winter with a Ravage. Creates some space for his team. Also does a lot of damage. Johnny coming in. There's the Overgrowth. March in trouble. He falls. QO gets a Fire Remnant down, but he's taking heavy damage. A right click from Chibi will finish him off. It's a double kill with an extra 63 damage on the Razor. 16-3. The massacre continues as Johnny's Revenge pulls further and further in the lead.
Yeah, and it's just MVP trying to contest this territory. A lot of teams would look at these situations and say, okay, we just can't fight here. Let's fall back. Let's farm. And anytime they try to go on us, we'll use our escape mechanisms to try to survive. But MVP keeps on going in, and although they get some wins, for the most part, they're just dramatic losses. Tinker being set back even further from his BOTs. Towers falling left and right. And this Treant Protector pick has worked out far greater than I could possibly have imagined. It's just, if they hadn't been finding the fights, if MVP had been playing the evasion game the entire time, I actually don't think it would have been that valuable. But because there's so much combat, because they're able to close in and force MVP into situations they think they have a good handle on, that's where the Treant just shines and completely turning things around.
Yeah, Shadow Demon on a similar note has served pretty much the same purpose in that tri-lane. There were a few times where both the Shadow Demon and the Treant were crucial to the survival, whether it was the defensive disruption or the disruption onto Ember Spirit himself. They completely shut down that tri-lane, and I thought MVP would have a much better time this game, but they fell way too far behind too quickly, and now they are really paying for it. Solo Chrono on the mid, onto Sharky. They'll probably secure a kill onto the Shadow Demon, or will they? Tide hops in, they'll finish off the Wisp. The defensive disruption once again, Ember Spirit falls, and now Forev's on the run. Oh no, it's a turnaround of the worst kind if you're on an MVP side. And, well, front and center right there, defensive disruption, turning it around.
They really cannot go offensive right now. Like, the way they're playing this, even this, I don't even know if the Chronosphere would have been worth it if they had gotten the kill on Sharky, but going up against the Treant, the Mechanism, they can't kill anyone. And right now they have to, like, wait 20 more minutes for a turnover on downs because this is just not going to be an offensive game for them. They need passivity, they need Turtle, and for that they just need Raisin to be predicting every single push, laying down the march, and running for the hills. And right now they're playing exactly the opposite.
Well, Ryzen at least has his BOTs up now. 14.5 minutes, slower than what you would hope for in a Tinker, obviously, but still within the realm of recoverable. And on the team perspective, that's a slightly different story. About 14,000 gold-ish, almost 10,000 experience. JR have a seemingly insurmountable lead, but at least Tinker has found something to let him start farming around the map and try and get back into this game. QO up top, in some trouble as they wrap around and try to commit to him. But he'll just continue pressing forward. Fire Remnant to the low ground. He'll survive. And JR won't skip a beat as they just set their sights on this Tier 2 tower in the top lane.
Yeah, and there's very little they can do to defend this, even with the BOT Tinker. Like, he could come in, lay down one single march, and then they would be jumping on top of him with this Blink Dagger. Looks like he's going to try just that. Hopefully it doesn't work out, or this will be a very quick game indeed. They cannot afford any more mistakes, any more losses. They have the late game, they just need to play like it. And right now it's going to be a pickoff potentially onto QO, but he does have the Remnant available.
Ravage, Sunstrike will be off the mark, but QO taking heavy damage. There's your overgrowth from Johnny. Time walk away from the Void, but QO and March get obliterated as Tide and Treant secure the kills. Now they go to the tower. They find Ryzen, and Disruption to set it up. They'll all get in position, and now Tinker will fall. Easy peasy. Like you said, one March, and they jump right on top of him. A 3-for-0, and everyone on Johnny's Revenge pretty much topped off. Shadow Demon takes a positive earn charge, and now this tower will fall under assault.
And things just come from bad to worse, where I think it's just going to be one tower and one kill. It is going to be it just keeps on becoming so much more. And it's because they keep trying to establish a foothold in a situation they can't control. They do buy that time to use the Massive Rewards on the bottom tier 1 and take the first tower of the game for them, but that, in addition to only 3 kills, does not nearly put them in a position to do anything but Turtle.
Yep. Well, now Johnny's Revenge, press forward. There's a level 3 Necronomicon out on the Invoker, so they have additional pushing power. Even the Living Armor out on the Warrior unit as he tanks the tower. They force out the Glyph, and with that, Johnny's Revenge will wait for the next wave of creeps. They want to be a little cautious here as the March Machine is not something you want to take a fight in. QO hops out, but takes a deafening blast and a meteor to the face. Will be able to Fire Remnant to safety, but playing with fire as he moves out. Johnny's Revenge just rotate towards the mid lane. One outer tower remaining, and they'll finish that off. Now that they've burned the Glyph, they can afford to take their time and slow roll this push a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not just the durability on the side of JR, it's also the innate vulnerabilities on the side of MVP.Phoenix. If you look at the armor values on these heroes, Wisp, of course, has a base armor of 0, so now he's up to a grand total of 1. The Ember Spirit is one of the lowest agi gains and pretty low base agility as well, so he's only at 3. And as well, the Shadow Shaman's pretty low at 2. So these heroes take so much damage from abilities like Eye of the Storm, as well as the Anchor Smash, and just get obliterated before the fight begins.
Yeah, very good point. The abundance of physical damage mixed with the lack of armor is not so hot for MVP.Phoenix. Now this tier 3 in the mid lane will start getting shipped upon. Mechanism is up for the Razor, and he's pretty darn close to an Ags already. 200 gold off the Blade of Alacrity. Forge Spirits just laying into the tier 3. They get it down to about 2/3 HP. And again, Johnny's Revenge will just be very cautious here not to overcommit, and satisfied overall with the bout of chip damage they've been able to do. Level 3 Necronomicon makes this easier. A Force Staff up on the Treant, and Winter working on a pipe. He's picked up the Blink Dagger and Hooded Defiance already. So just about 1,300 gold away, and they'll have some magic resistance for the rest of the team.
Yeah, good call there. You can get to the pipe so much faster if you build up the mech on one here, the pipe on another, and in this case here, they do have the Razor to handle the former so that Winter can pick up the latter, and that helps them out so much because their push timing comes around the 20-minute mark. They take one Roche, they finish the pipe, and then March Machines is not nearly as threatening. 2 full marches can essentially be tanked through just based on the Pipe of Insight alone. So they're able to negate a lot of damage, and that should be enough for them to breach.
Roche falling rather quickly. Not much minus armor here. Actually, no minus armor. I don't think they have a medallion. Certainly not. But plenty of damage to bring down Roche. They're fairly tilted for this level of the game. And now we hop forward. Winter with a Ravage on 2. March and QO again in trouble. QO hops into the pit, and that'll leave March all by his lonesome. And QO falls just moments after. Forev thinking about hopping in with a Chrono. He has his Mask of Madness, but his team just gets picked apart before he can do anything. Radiant pop their glyph as once again Heen in a side lane commits the wards, and this will result in a tier 1 tower kill. A very small victory though, as Johnny's Revenge are knocking on the front door of the Dire base. As we see Heen retreat here, the last thing I'll comment on before we pretty much witness the GG push. I hope Johnny's going to take some hits here, but Heen's going down for sure. Yep, Sunstrike will finish him off, wards will get cleaned up, and even the tower should get denied here. Yep, Invoker secures it.
Well done. But the one thing I will comment on is the aggressive ward position from JR as well. They had one that recently expired right over here in the mid lane, but otherwise they have just had great lane ward vision. They haven't even worried about runes so much because it's not that relevant to them. The bottom line is as long as they see where people are trying to respond, they can get easy kills.
And up top, March will fall. Johnny trying to kite QO around. His Invoker just lays in the right clicks. And Tinker thinking about hopping in, but will cancel his TP as QO makes the escape. He'll TP home. Sunstrike had to guess and will be off the mark.
Mm-hmm. And even those few melting strikes, 6 hits from the Forge Spirits, and he's down to -2 armor. Like, that's absolutely absurd. Just from one spell up against QO, he cannot withstand much. He's a very brittle glass cannon. You already think of him as a squishy individual, but this just makes him shatter at the touch. It is very unfortunate.
Yeah. And now QO in the jungle. Razor will walk right by him with an Aegis as well as the Aghanim Scepter in the inventory. He didn't have it in the last fight, so 2 big items that'll make things a lot easier for Johnny's Revenge at this next skirmish. Even a Vladimir's Offering now picked up by Johnny as the auras will start to come out. Tidehunter super close to his Pipe of Insight as well. And there you go, picks up the recipe as we speak. Mid lane, Ryzen gets caught out, and Invoker finds an easy solo kill. Hastrun on as well, so no way Tinker was getting away from that one. Buyback though from Ryzen. This will probably be our last fight. If MVP can't hold here, it should be a lane of racks.
They'll try, but even with the buyback, they've got the pipe, and that should be enough for them to force their way in with Ravage coming off cooldown. The only thing is that Winter's not here. This is something I saw yesterday a little bit from him, is he doesn't always fight with his team when he wants to prioritize his farm. It will be enough to get him the pipe, but he does need to rally with his allies.
Yeah. The pipe is still on the courier. We'll hold that thought, though, as Chibi in the front lines taking tower shots. He gets the static link off, drains some damage from the Void, and forces out the Chrono. That will proc the Aegis of the Immortal as he comes back to life. Now Winter joining the party. Io will fall. There's a big Ravage from Winter on 2. QO gets dropped. Down goes Forev as well. Triple kill for the Invoker, and that's it. The GG well-playeds are called, and Johnny's Revenge take game 1 29-3 in only 22 minutes of gameplay. A complete domination. Wow. Just wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think the draft was that bad from the side. Obviously, it was greedy, but the problem was how they played it. Their movement in the early stages, they made assumptions that they could bring their opponents down and with minimal losses. The exact opposite occurred. You look at those KDAs. There's 1 death on Invoker, 2 deaths on Shadow Demon, 12 deaths on the Wisp. At that point, like, what can you even do?
Yeah, he didn't have much to his name, and it was really just disastrous in that aggressive tri-lane for MVP since they conceded that first death. After that, that was the beginning of the end, and they had a couple of good opportunities, but unfortunately the defensive nature of the disruption and then the living armor on top of that just made it too difficult. So smart drafting from Winter, like you mentioned, completely shut down what MVP were going to do and also banned out the Warlock. What do you think, Blaze, as we hop into game 2? Can MVP do it, or will this just be a quick blowout series?
I think both teams are of the same caliber, but they have to 180 on their strategy. Overall, they are the signature aggression. They either have to draft for the aggression and just be able to dominate in the early to mid game, or they need to change their strategy overall and just make sure that when they have this kind of a draft, they play it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a quick break here, guys. Game 2 of this best-of-3 series between MVP.Phoenix and Johnny's Revenge coming up next. I'm Zyori here in the studio, and joining me remotely is Blaze. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Summit, and come on back after this short commercial break.